So we're live. Good morning, everybody from Canada. This is Eric Lloyd, CEO of the ESP Project. Today we're going to be talking about everything related to digital payments. Today we have Hrvoje Somun with us, and excuse me, he's our team member that specializes in government compliance digital payment platforms, and he looks after that section of the business for us. So let me just bring him on board. And Hrvoje, good to see you. Can you give us a quick introduction, please?
Hi, Eric. Hi, everybody. What I can tell you is that I have over 25 years of experience in the IT, in various IT fields I started as an IT auditor, as the IT consultant, worked as an IT manager, and most of my work history, I was working in big projects in a big IT companies. I used to work in a Big Four in Deloitte and Touche as a manager for the IT. I used to work in HP, and I also used to be the CEO of a big government IT company in Croatia. So I'm talking to you from Croatia, from Europe, and as I said, I was working on a big government digitalization and government transformation projects. After this short, I would say, episode, 4 years in the government, I went back to the private sector. I had my own company. I used to work for the big internationals like Softline, big international IT company as the government sector director. So I was in fact in charge of the various government initiatives around the world. Today I'm working as the advisor still to many governments on various IT topics, how to in fact utilize technology to transform the government. And here, as a part of the team, I'm the expert that is still advising the government on the adoption of cryptocurrency in governments, how to use cryptocurrency to digitalize the economy, and or definitely I'm also very much focused on the topic that we'll be talking about, and this is how to use ESP token in a payments.
Very good. Your background's really impressive. I've seen you present in front of various ministries and ministers in Asia and Africa over the last couple of years, and you're a valuable team member to us. But maybe describe for the audience how the ESP token will be used with digital payments.
We are focusing on digital payments and on how the ESP token can be used in connection with electronic cash register environments, all the payment process environment. I see usually two main areas in real life. So even now that we are talking about governments or the big corporates, how to use cryptocurrency and specifically ESP token. One is in relation with the loyalty schemes, because very often they are in the process of somehow creating loyalty schemes that are using specific loyalty points, and they have a big challenge to showing the customers that are inside of the loyalty schemes how to prove some intrinsic value of the points outside of just loyalty point scheme. And now, in fact, it is one of the pretty good use case that we are developing for one customer is in fact that direct connection with the ESP token, which means that you would be able, in fact, to use ESP token to be redeemable outside of the loyalty program environment, so that the people collecting points would know that these points would not just go to waste after a certain period. There is some intrinsic value that is left there forever, for their loyalty. The second area is much bigger and obviously more something that is more more visible, more easier to see. And this is in fact usage of the cryptocurrency, usage of ESP token to pay for goods and services. From one aspect, you have the today, because of Corona, because of the whole, especially in the Western world, online payments through the on the web shops and through the e-commerce. It's very easy to understand why you would, instead of using credit cards, why you could pay with tokens. But even bigger area, even bigger, let's say, transformation area that you can use ESP token and cryptocurrency is in fact to integrate payments with electronic cash register providers, with the payment service providers, in fact to integrate with the ESP digital wallets to enable them to pay on point of sale for some goods and service instead of using cash or credit card.
Very good. What do you think that makes ESP unique against the competition?
If we talk about competition from a perspective of why ESP token and not some other token, let's say if you would say, okay, why not Bitcoin? Usually with a lot of the tokens, with a lot of the digital currencies, you have a lack of the central governing body, somebody that is managing this currency, and without this, you cannot you cannot drive certain processes, which means that that we as the drivers of ESP token, this enables us to discuss with the governments and to plan a usage of ESP token in various strategy to digitalize the economy. While obviously, if you want to use Bitcoin, you don't have anybody on the other side to do it, to say, okay, how will we plan to do certain integrations? How will we plan to do certain usage? How we can integrate and connect certain things? One of the other big advantage of the ESP token is, in fact, the team that is behind it. It means that we carry certain relationships and positions from the advisory role to the government that you already mentioned, where governments trust us to advise them on how to use technology to transform, to improve the government and to transform economy. So this is one aspect. We are in a position to recommend ESP token, and they know that we are in a position to recommend this as one of the aspects of how we can improve the government, how we can bring more benefits to the government. And second is, in fact, our connections with the electronic cash register providers, with the providers of the POS. Through the relationship with them, we are able to ensure that they are integrating easily with our ESP token or with ESP wallet. And in fact, this level of relationship enables us to drive adoption much faster. Of course, this relationship with the ECR providers enables us not just to drive adoption for the purely payment service, but also this enables us to plan additional services with ECR companies that we work with. And this is like money exchange service, or money transfer service, or some other use cases that we are working on for ESP token. This is, in fact, our position is to work from a top on a big scale approach. So our approach is not to to attract one individual person to use ESP token, but in fact our multiple points of presence enable us to use some countrywide program to launch this, and this gives us a critical mass for users. So is this some government mandated program where they would reduce usage of cash, or they would mandate usage of ECR? This type of projects usually drive adoption of this type of technology.
Very good. So talk a little bit about what regions will be implementing digital payments first?
Uh, Two biggest, I would say, two most important regions that we are focusing on is Africa and Asia, Far East, and definitely Africa being first.
Why Africa?
Well, Africa has the highest, probably highest population that remains without banking facilities and technologies among other among adults. So you have the region that has a huge boom in population, huge growth rates in the population, and of course then economy. But this growth is not followed by the infrastructure, any type of infrastructure, or also financial services and technology infrastructure that supports. So transformation potential for payments in everyday life with cryptocurrency is probably the greatest in Africa, because as I say, without availability of cash, without the availability of ATM, this is a typical problem that you need to resolve by using some means of the digital payments. And one of the obvious, as I say, outcome is that something like cryptocurrency is the natural answer. So it's just to how to, one side, how to overcome this challenge that, you know, like you have huge mass of people, you need to make something, you need to give them capability that from their phone, that from something that they have in their hand, they can immediately initiate certain transaction and initiate certain payments, wire transfer, and so on. Of course, one of the other aspects why Africa is not just from a perspective of the citizens that I was now describing, where there is no infrastructure and citizens are looking for service. The other aspect why Africa is in fact from a perspective of government. We have a lot of challenges that the government is facing, from the inflation, the fighting anti-money laundering, fighting financing of terrorism, to the biggest probably aspect is collecting of taxes. And these are the key drivers why usage of ESP token in a government bring a huge value for Africa.
That's excellent. Could you talk a little bit about how crypto can benefit the government and what role they need to play?
So, as I just said, governments, when they plan their programs, especially Ministry of Finance or Revenue Service, they need to include usage of crypto in their everyday, in their mid-term and long-term plans. Today, cryptocurrency and is not anymore some fringe technology. It's reality, because many governments around the world are already using it in some form. One of the biggest topics, as I said, why Africa is definitely the challenge of, let's say for the government, very often is the challenge of how to fight inflation. Usually, in many countries in Africa, you have, apart from their local currency, people would usually use some foreign currency as the means of payment. They would use something else to control and to use as a means of exchange instead of their local currency. We see cryptocurrency and we see ESP token as something that can be used instead of this. So definitely inflation pressure is much lower if you enable usage of the crypto. One of the biggest probably areas that I hinted already is usage of cryptocurrency in taxation. A lot of the projects that I was involved with, even in my country, Croatia, were focused on how to reduce the gray economy, how to use, how to in real time to report each cash transaction to the tax department, to ensure that it is verifiable, to ensure that we can correctly identify how much tax is due to the government. In Africa, the problem is even bigger. It's not just about identifying exactly how much tax you owe to the government. It's collecting this tax. So the challenge is much higher, and technology can be used to overcome this challenge. So there is exactly cryptocurrency ESP token can be used when used as a means of payment on electronic cash register. The systems are available that enable you to directly deduct the portion of transaction that is government. And this the VAT or some related tax can automatically be sent to the government, which of course resolve a lot of these tax collection challenges for many African nations. One of the also biggest topics in the government, where crypto can help, is in fact with anti-money laundering, with financing of terrorism. Usually, both in payments and cash transfers, I would say that usage of crypto can help, because whenever you reduce usage of cash, when you reduce this type of behavior, when you change behavior of the citizens, you motivate them to use the digital payments, you create a safer environment that is much less prone to anti-money laundering or financing terrorism. So definitely there are some other aspects with reducing of cash that brings value to the government. So this is prevention of crime. In general, you are able to tackle corruption because with eliminating capability that large amounts of cash can be given to somebody to lower the likelihood of corruption in the government. And of course, I already mentioned inflation risks, but also foreign exchange risks are decreased. And definitely costs of money transfer as well inside of the country. And because very often those processes that I was now mentioning, it is the process handling cash. So handling cash costs money. Handling digital currency is much cheaper, and definitely additional logic very often necessary to control AML or money laundering additionally makes each transaction in money transfer even more expensive. This is the area where ESP token comes into, where it can help governments.
Great. Just a reminder to everybody, feel free to ask some questions. We'd like to take some from the audience, so just put them in the chat here, and we'll ask Hrvoje anything that you might ask. But moving on, let's talk a little bit more specifically about how do we manage compliance in the the anti-money laundering requirements.
Well, definitely, you have several aspects. One is on the level of we would say be looking for on the payment transaction. So definitely, person is paying with cryptocurrency would require to present some means of identification to the merchant. So this is needed, and you can say that this would be similar to what you see now when you do a foreign exchange. When you want to use foreign exchange, you need to identify yourself. So this is one way to do it, and even now, this is why I even started with this loyalty logic, because in some cases we are now developing, even connecting this all with the capability of national ID or loyalty card, the actual means of payment of the crypto. So one aspect is this identification on a point of sale when you are making the transaction. The second thing is that you can lower the limits on the individual exchange transactions. So you can reduce the appetite for money laundering. Usually, money launderers would require huge amounts to be removed. If you, in fact, reduce the limit on an exchange transaction through the crypto, you would reduce this appetite and likelihood of this this would
Great. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about how do you see the general public adopting cryptocurrency and the ESP token?
I would say that um, cryptocurrency is moving. I mean, in general, blockchain is moving from some fringe IT technology, something that was a buzzword, like is moving more to the standard IT, the everyday use, and cryptocurrency. And people, when you say cryptocurrency, first thing that everybody thinks about is, in fact, investing in Bitcoin, investing in some cryptocurrency. They'll go up and down. And like today, it's more and more from a government perspective and from everyday use perspective. Cryptocurrency becomes more on the level of, let's say, needed infrastructure element. So something that you would use in everyday life to make your life easier, make government more efficient, to remove certain risks. And I see that this shift is happening. In some countries, it is happening because people are more educated, or there was a longer period of certain government or private initiatives in crypto. In some countries, as I said, especially in Africa, it is happening because there are certain government plans to push for certain mandatory usage. And so it's not even, like you like to do it, it's actually government evaluates benefits and once the benefits are identifying, it's pushing for mandatory adoption.
Right, right. So what do you feel are the real benefits to the general user?
Well, I would say that the real benefits, as I mentioned, like if we put now the government aside, I apologize, being a person advising the government, I'm always more focused on how government will profit. But for everyday usage, I would say that like if you have service that is more easier to consume, so something that is on your cell phone that enables you to initiate some transaction from your fingertips. If you have the service that is cheaper, it's more affordable, then this is something that you will use. If you really trust that this is something that can be consumed. So I would say that there is this adoption piece that we were talking about, but for everyday use, I would say that really the presence of the services that are based on a cryptocurrency as token is something that will drive adoption. And these are the key benefits for everyday usage today. Future, for sure, we are approaching to the world where cash will disappear, where the countries will slowly move to complete removal of cash. This is one side. From another side, there is still a request from many governments to say, okay, although the cash will disappear, we would still like to have technology that would grant us a certain level of privacy in payments. Why would my credit card company need to know what did I bought? The statement. So, like you have how to balance this out, how to use a certain level of anonymity without tight government control. Really, cryptocurrency can come in this area to fill the blanks. And I would expect that this is what we are now talking to many governments on certain pilot projects, and that will lead to certain wide country adoptions that I believe will be the biggest benefit to every citizen.
I agree totally. So what do you feel are the major obstacles that you're facing?
We're talking first mostly from the perspective of the government. So when I'm talking with a certain decision makers in the government, one of the typical first fear is fear of technology. So irrelevant is this cryptocurrency. Usually government has a certain fear of any big technological change. This is one aspect. The second aspect is that initially, uh, because blockchain, because Bitcoin and certain currency at the beginning were almost advertising newspapers like they are used by the criminals. So they have this background that crypto is used for criminal or some illegal activities. Very often today, I'm in a position that I need to explain to governments that it's not about criminal activities, it's about how you can control this ecosystem, how you can manage the cryptocurrency usage, and that you can do it in your favor. And these are the major obstacles when I'm talking with the government. How to surpass these two aspects that they have. Usually fear of technology. Second, this initial connection that crypto had with certain illegal activities. And the third is again typical how do we do it? This is the standard question of how to efficiently run certain project, which means that again you need to have smart, experienced people to run certain government project and to be able to deliver on the benefits expected.
Very good. Um, so talking a little bit more about, again, more focused on our token, how will you drive the adoption of the ESP token for digital payments? How are you driving that?
Okay, so as I mentioned, some of the answers already, we are working with many governments, advising them on usage of crypto, but we also work with the big corporates and with ECR users, ECR companies. So we are developing ecosystem for usage. We are building use cases. We are giving a real proof of concept when needed that ESP can be used in a certain way and bring a certain value. So it's not just coming from something on a slideware to real life. It's actual a process where you do certain assumption, you do certain pilot, proof of concept, pilot, run it in a certain area or a certain industry segment, and then after a while you move on to say, okay, I have this proved be effective. Let's move to the next stage. Let's see what other benefits we can use. Is this horizontally or vertically? Is this adding the new service or expanding to some other industry or segment or geography?
Great. Well, let's just see. We don't have any more questions from the chat yet, and I know you're not feeling very well today, and I appreciate you sticking to the schedule and coming on for everybody. So, I think unless there's any more questions, is there anything you want to add, just as any general commentary?
Well, I think we are living in interesting times. We are seeing a huge technical change that is happening in many aspects. So I would definitely, I must say that I like what I do, and I would definitely like that whatever question our users or the people that look at this at some later stage have to contact me for sure, and to contact you and to help us and to see how we can in fact change the world, how we can use ESP for the benefit of everybody.
Excellent. Well, Hrvoje, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. I think we'll close it out here for today. Again, everybody, if if this stream was useful, please give us a thumbs up, and more importantly, if you can subscribe to the stream. As we do more and more of these, it'll get the notice, and really when we want the YouTube algorithm to kind of notice us and get us out there, so we'll get some better adoption. Also reminding everybody that the ICO is active, so you can either pick up tokens directly off the website using MetaMask, or if you want to go to Uniswap, you can swap between literally hundreds of different Ethereum-based digital assets and the ESP token. Go out there and support the project. We really appreciate it, and every little bit helps, and it's really a validation of the project in its entirety. So again, thanks everybody for spending the time with us. We'll do this again, and everybody stay safe. All right, take care.